Hello, I'm David the Collector, and I'm back with another Pokemon collecting video. Today's really exciting. I'm going to show off my favorite cards that I have that I will be submitting to PSA. So let's start with basically what we spent 2020 on. We pulled a lot of base set 2 to begin with, as well as Team Rocket First Edition. So we have the Poliwrath from base set 2, the Nidoqueen, the Nidoking. So we'll start with base set 2 clearly. Base set 2 is base set combined with Jungle. So you'll see both of those characters. Scyther, was happy about that. Clefable, maybe we'll get a PSA 10 in one of those. Wigglytuff, for those it's basically PSA 10 or bust. 2 Alakazams, 2 Mewtwo's, a Raichu, Chansey, the double Blastoids from Vegas on my birthday, and the Charizard from the home collection that's very, very beat up. So that'll be a PSA 1 or 2, we'll have to see. And then going into first edition Team Rocket, we have the only, one of the non-holos, I guess not the only one. This one is not the error card. It's 22 out of 82. And then some holos. Here comes Team Rocket holo, Rocket Sneak Attack holo, Dark Vileplume, Dark Arbok, Dark Golbat, Dark Slowbro, Dark Dugtrio, Dark Machamp, Dark Gyarados, Rainbow Energy holo, Dark Alakazam, the Dark Raichu, Dark Charizard. So it's a little weird. Dark Charizard. And then finally, the holo Dark Charizard. I was thinking I would do some guess the grades on these, but I'm not really sure. And I think they're all sort of candidates for who knows. We'll have to see. I've never gotten anything graded. I guess we'll look at some of the best cards and try to guess. This Charizard is probably more like a PSA 9. I'm really hoping it gets that 10. The corners look pretty good, besides like a couple little nings, and the centering looks a little bit off left to right. So we'll have to see what happens. Let's look at the miscellaneous pile. This is a lot of modern that I've pulled, and then a couple other things. So we have Evolution Charizards. We pulled a couple of these this year. I guess just a couple. I do believe some of these might have PSA 10 potential. I'm not sure which ones. At the moment, it had to do with which ones had print lines and the centering of them. Again, I'm not going to take them out of the case to check the print lines and jeopardize scratching them. But yeah, that was from Evolutions. Might want to go grab some of the other Evolutions Charizards, I'll have to think. These are the Champion's Path Charizards. I pulled 4 of the Rainbow Rare ones and 1 of the Shinies. Then we have Vivid Voltage. This is the Reverse Rare Charizard, the Pikachu V-Max, and then, as they like to call it, the Fat Gauge Pikachu, but I think that's a funny name too. It's rainbow, he's big. This is the one you're going for in the set that's really hard to pull. I got really lucky. Didn't have to open that much Vivid Voltage and was still able to pull it. Was opening more Vivid Voltage than I had planned, had bought a case, and then realized that the case had really nice centering and great cards inside. You don't tend to see that a lot from Vivid Voltage, so decided to open up the rest and was able to pull that, luckily. Next, we've got some Flash Fire, something that I really liked this year. The Charizard EX, the M Charizard EX, we got that twice. And then the blue M Charizard EX. And then we also got the secret rare versions, so it's kind of hard to tell, but I'll hold them next to each other. The one on the left is more gold than the one on the right. So they add some gold there. Put that aside. We'll do this for this one too. So got the secret rare on the left and the non-secret rare on the right. And then this one's a cool one too, a Charizard X full art. Really like sort of the coloring on this one. The red background's dope. This is a fun story. Went to Houston over the holiday break on a little... Okay, I'm not going to tell that story. Okay, this one's a cool one. So at Walmart, they have these variety packs where you can potentially pull vintage packs out of these sort of randomized, called mystery power boxes is the exact name. And I got some of these resell, wasn't able to buy them from Walmart myself, but saw that they were reselling. Two of them had vintage packs. One of the vintage packs was a Supreme Victor's pack, as you'll recognize this Charizard from. I was able to pack this Charizard from one Supreme Victor's pack. It's a platinum pack. There is another Charizard in this set that's a little bit better than this one, but I was still really excited to pull a Charizard. Next, we have Legendary Treasures. Was finally able to pack a Charizard from here, but the centering is fairly butchered. Don't think this has PSA 10 potential, which is kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. Was also able to pack a Reshiram, hoping this gets a PSA 9 or 10. The PSA 10 would obviously go for a lot more. This was a random Lieutenant Surge that I was able to pack from someone who had a what they thought was a light pack that I bought for light, but was able to measure and thought was heavy, so ended up taking that home with me. Was really excited by that. This is the Las Vegas story. Don't know if this came out in a video, but in Las Vegas, while I was there for my birthday, I met up with someone in a parking lot and made a deal where I would pay $400 for a first edition pack of Fossil if it didn't have a holo in it, and $700 if it did. And I opened up the first pack and it had a holo Lapras in it. The second pack obviously had that holo Articuno. Was really, really excited to pull both of those. And then this is the second video I've made in 2021. I just made my first video merely 20 or 30 minutes ago, and in that I pulled the Ninetales. This Chansey was from the Vegas pull, the one base set pack I had opened before the two that I just opened in the video before this. And spoiler, I pulled a fucking Charizard. So really, really think this one could be PSA 10. Don't see any print lines, which is great. The centering's great. The corners are great. If I fucking packed a PSA 10 Charizard, one sold on eBay on January 4th for $10,000. So that'd be crazy. And the grades are back. If you remember, I sent them in about January 11th. They were received by PSA on January 20th, and I just got them back on February 26th. I paid $50 a card for this express service, and here are the 66 cards. I'm going to spoil it a bit for you, but I'm going to go through every single one, just tell you sort of what happens a little bit beforehand. I have all the prices right here, too, of all the cards based on recent sales data, including the total at the end, which I'll announce. Pretty cool. But basically, pulling vintage 10s is impossible. That's something I've learned. It's not something you're going to be able to do unless you've held on to the packs yourself. I have not been able to buy a vintage pack with a holo that pulls a 10 so far. Your best bet is a 9. Modern, on the other hand, gives out more 10s than 9s at about a 2 to 3 to 1 ratio. So there's almost twice as many to 3 times as many 10s as there are 9s of some of these cards. What we're going to do is we're going to start off in modern and work our way to vintage. So Here's the first little stack. We'll bring it forward. This is the first card. So we have a 9 Vivid Voltage Reverse Charizard. We also got this one in a 10. So really, really excited. Again, Modern has most of the 10s that you're going to see today. Here we go. Keeping the 10 train rolling at the beginning here. We've got Pikachu V-Max in the full art form. So really love this card. That's the back in case you're curious. I'm going to be honest with you. It's harder for me to tell the difference between a 9 and a 10 or an 8 and a 9. I'm trying to get better at it by studying these cards, but it's not what I'm going to focus on in the video today because this is my first return. I'm not going to try to speak to something that I don't know that well. But yeah, another 10, got 2 of those. And then the one that matters most, that rainbow came back a 10. So this one's really cool. So I guess I've been forgetting to say, let's go back real quick. The Charizard in a 9 goes for about $50. The Charizard in a 10 goes for about $275. The Pikachu V-Max 10s in the full art form go for $250 each. It's pretty cool. And then the Rainbow Pikachu goes for $1,350 was a recent sale. So yeah, the 10 in this one does really well. People love this card. Moving on to Champion's Path. We got the Rainbow Charizard in a 10 here. I submitted 4 of these, and guess what? All 4 were 10s. Pretty crazy. So yeah, really, really excited by that. Kind of surprised by it. Again, just shows you how easy it is to get the 10s for these modern cards. Every single rainbow that I pulled, I submitted and got the 10. Let's check out that black one. Can you guess what I got in this one too? It's also a 10. So the rainbow in a PSA 10 goes for about $700, and the shiny goes for about $750. So yeah, really, really love those cards, and we'll keep moving forward. So here, I'll put them back where they started, I guess. So next we have Evolutions. We're starting with an 8. I was really, really hoping for a 10 here. Thought some of the cards might be nice enough, but you'll just have to see for yourself. So the first was an 8. The second is an 8.5. This one's really, really hard to get in a 10. The 8.5 goes for about $250. And then we have 3 more. The first was a 9. I knew that was going to be a 9. You can kind of see the print line at the top there. It might be hard to see in camera. It's like a little bit darker right now. But trust me. And then second to last is also a 9. Did I get the 10 on the last one? I did not. So the PSA 9, I have 3 of them in PSA 9. They go for about $400 each. In a 10, it would have gone for about $4,000. So I was really hoping for that. Might have to resubmit the best one. There's a handful of them that I might resubmit just to see, not thinking that they'll get 10s, but if even one of them does, it'll like make it worth it. So hopefully I can bump one up. We'll have to check it out. Next, we're moving into Flash Fire, starting with the number 12 Charizard EX. There's a number 11 too that I don't have. But this one came back a 9, which was great. Followed by the M Charizard EX. This was only an 8. But I had 2 of these in the number 13. So one was an 8, one was a 9. Pretty cool. So sorry, going back to this one real quick. This one is $50 in a 9. This one is $50 in an 8 and $100 in a 9. I was really hoping at least one of these cards would come back in a 10. But again, even 2014 cards didn't really pull any 10s. So you'll see here. This is an 8.5 for the 107. This one goes for about 120. Also got this one in a 9, but not a 10. If you can tell me why this wasn't a 10, let me know. Maybe it's just off center a bit. But yeah, hard for me to tell sometimes, like what made this an 8.5 instead of a 9. Yeah, I'm gonna have to study them some more and then maybe do another video. So now we're getting into the blue Charizards. The main reason of Flash Fire, this is a 69.9. This one goes for about $300. And then the gold version of this that I pulled came back a 9 as well. I was really hoping for a 10 in this one, but must have too much corner whitening. So didn't pull that 10. In a 9, this one goes for $500. In a 10, it's more like $1,600. This is probably the best card in the set. And then the other one that's the $1,600 card is the Charizard EX Full Art. So really, really love this card. The color is really, really cool. And yeah, was hoping for a 9 here, but only got an 8, not even an 8.5. So the 8 is worth $185. So put these aside, put them back. We're working our way to vintage. We're almost there. Thanks for being here for the super long video. Again, never pulling 10s in vintage, so our best bet is a 9. We'll start with Legendary Treasures. I didn't even pull a 9 for this one. We pulled an 8. You can kind of see from the centering, makes sense. In an 8, this card goes for $120. I also pulled the gold card, but this was also an 8. Kind of hard to see right now, but we'll try to give you that good angle with the light. But yeah, the gold card's super fun, but obviously super hard to grade as well. So that one came back an 8, also worth $120. And last but not least, we pulled a 9 for the Charizard G from Supreme Victors. There's like a holo one from this set too that's really cool. Might have to buy this as a single to grade it, but don't own it yet. And pulled this from a mystery box. So there was a pack of this in a mystery box, and out of the pack came this Charizard Z. So that's a pretty cool story for that. That one in a 9 is worth $250, and in a 10 is only worth $350. So I guess not even that big of a deal. And then let's move into base set 2. So base set 2, I've been trying to pull for a while. We did that Vegas opening. This has the Blastoids in them, etc. Let's see what we got. Also has that childhood Charizard at the end, so stay tuned for that in the base set 2. So we got the Poliwrath 9. That one goes for $85. We got Nidoking as an 8. That one goes for $115. We got Scyther as an 8. That one goes for $110. We got Nidoqueen as an 8. That one goes for $62. So these ones were hard to grade. Obviously didn't do too well. It's kind of a bummer, but Wigglytuff came back a 9. That one's only worth $60 and a 9 though. So not that great of a pull. Clefable, we got 1.8, and then the second one came back a 9. In an 8, it's $55. In a 9, it's $140. Submitted 2 Alakazams. One's an 8 and one is a 9. So you'll see this pattern coming up now. The Clefable did that. The Alakazam also did that. Was really hoping one of these would get a 10 at least. The dark halo, or sorry, the dark holographic usually means it's a little bit easier to get the 10s. Anyways, in an 8, it's $100. In a 9, it's about $180. Next up, we got Mewtwo, also an 8 and a 9. In the 9, it's about $540. In the 8, it's like $100, but This 8's pretty cool. There's like a pretty good swirl to the left of the head. This is the one that was pulled by PokeRev in one of his box breaks, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, only an 8. The other one I pulled myself. The Raichu was a 7, so our first 7. So sometimes you won't even get an 8 or a 9. You'll get a 7 on these vintage cards. This one is probably because the centering's very butchered. The top is really, really heavy, and so is the left side. And the back is a bit scuffed, so is what it is. The Chansey came back in 8. Next up, we got the Blastoise. You can probably see it behind it. But yeah, Chansey came back in 8. As an 8, it's $60. As a 10, this would have gone for $2,800, but I guess there's scuffs and other stuff going on. Some corner whitening in the top and bottom. And then the 2 Blastoids, unfortunately, are both 9. So like I was saying, really, really hard to pull that 10. Might have to resubmit one of these, look into which one's sort of the better one with the less corner damage. But yeah, they both have a few little nicks. This one might be a little bit better. But yeah, the 9 goes for $600 each. And a 10, it would have gone for a bit more. If you look at this one, there's a little something there. It looks like that'll come off. Yeah, never mind. So yeah, cool to have 2 of these. Might have to sell one. We'll have to see. And then last but not least, we got that Charizard from the childhood collection. Childhood stuff, it's hard to keep track of. You're hoping for at least a 1 or a 2, right? You're hoping they grade it, kind of. This did a lot better than I thought it would. It came like a 5, so yeah, pretty cool. Charizard 5. This one goes for a 200 and a 5. It would have gotten like a 7 on the better front. It would have gone for like 350, but overall around the same pricing. So cool to have that in the collection. That was my sister's, so I might have to send it back to her. Shout out Hillary. Let's move into Team Rocket, and then we'll finish off with some even more vintage. Again, this video is going so long, but we're going to do it. So, Team Rocket, we have the Rainbow Energy, unfortunately in a 7, so much worse than I even thought. The 7 Energy in Rainbow is only worth $35. No one cares about that. We have the Dark Machamp in an 8. That goes for $125. We have a couple 8.5s here that are fun. The Dark Golbat and the Dark Arbok both came back 8.5s and go for about $120 each. This was the one in the childhood collection that got all fucked up, so happy to have that one back. Got some trainers. The trainers seem to be easier to grade. They both got 9s, so that's pretty cool. In the 9, the sneak attack is worth a little bit more at $150, and the Team Rocket card's worth only $100. I think it's because it's easier to get a 9 in the Team Rocket. Look at how small the holo area is, just like a big photo, whereas the holo here is a bit smaller, hard to get that 9, so it's a little bit more expensive. Our only vintage 10 is coming up, folks. Guess what it is? It was a Dark Vileplume. So we got that 10, that Gem Mint 10 in the Vileplume. That shit makes me laugh for some reason. In a 9, it's worth $150. In a 10, it's worth $700. If any of the other cards had been a 10, it would have been a bigger deal. But, you know, it is what it is. At least we got 110 out of vintage. So I guess the video lies a little bit, but that's the only one. So yeah, spoils some more. The Dark Trio came back a 9. Did pretty well on the 9s here. This was $150 in a 9. The Slowbro came back a 9 too. That one goes for $200 in a 9. We got 2 Dark Gyaradoses. Both of these were also 9s. Might have to part way with one of them or resubmit one of them. We'll see. These go for $250 each. The Dark Alakazam came back a 9. That's goes for $315. And then this one's a pretty cool one. We got a non-holo Dark Dragonite that came back a 10. So it does seem like some of them can come back 10s, especially the non-holos. So vintage can come back 10s, but only kind of the regular cards and non-holo cards. This is not the error card, it's the 22, but still really cool that it's a 10. In a 9, it would have been only $150, but in a 10, this is worth $700. Bit of a bummer here. One of the good ones, the Dark Raichu, came back an 8. So not great. That one's worth $310. Then we have the Charizard. So I pulled 2 non-holo, 1 holo. Let's start with the non-holo. We got 1 9. The 9 is worth $400. But pretty cool, we got 1 10. So yeah, the 10 vintage Charizard here is the only vintage Charizard 10 that I have. It's non-holo, but it's still kind of cool. First edition, worth $1,000, so I was happy about that. We'll put these aside. And then, you might have already seen it, but this is the first edition Dark Charizard. In a 10, this would have been worth $7,000, but unfortunately, it was only a 9. So, bit bummed about this one. This was the one you might have been waiting for. There's one more big Charizard, the base set Charizard, coming up. But in a 9, this one's worth only $1,700. Quite a big dip from the $7,000 price range that it could be. Going into the last few, we have a random Gym Heroes card. Got the Lieutenant Surge out of a pack. That I measured heavy from a local seller. This is not first edition, but again, 2000, one of the older ones. So put it towards here. Lieutenant Surge is a fun guy to have. The trainers get more and more popular as time goes on. Then I pulled 2 fossil packs. One was a non-holo pack. That came back an Articuno. That's worth $160. And then we had the Lapras that I was really, really hoping would be a 10. But again, there are no vintage 10s, so it's a 9. Quite a bummer. In a 10, this would have been worth $9,000. In a 9, it's worth only $415. So might have been the back, might be in the front. This might be one of the ones we resubmit low-key because it would be such a big value gain if you were able to get it as a 10. Last but not least, we have the Ninetales. Sorry, last set but not least, 1999 Pokemon game. These are the ones you're looking for. That base set, baby, the most expensive one. So the Ninetales in a 9 goes for $240. In a 10, it would have been $700, but not quite there. Some corner whitening. Then the next card is the Chansey, followed by the Charizard. Here, I'll flip the Charizard over, so no spoils. The Chansey's only a 9. In a 9, it's worth $270. In a 10, it's worth almost $3,000. This one doesn't have print lines, but I don't know. I'm not sure what did it for this one, so I might have to resubmit this one as well, trying to learn that. This could have been centering. It's a little bit heavy on the right side. And then last but not least, we got the Charizard. What do you guys think it is? To hold it on this side, so there's a little bit of whitening maybe. It's really, really hard to see, but either way, they decided it was. This is the last card. In a 10, it would have been worth $15K, but in a 9, it's still worth $2,600. So I was happy with my 9, baby. We got a good one here. So that's the last pull. Learned a lot about PSA grading, have a lot of cards still there, so I'll do a few more return videos for you. At the moment, I'm not super interested in selling cards, so I'm going to slow down the process that I grade a bit, hold everything as sort of singles, ungraded, and then get them graded as I try to sell them. This was a fun process, though. Pulling all the 10s in vintage was sick, having the fat rainbow Pikachu in a 10, and the Champion's Path Charizards in a 10, having 4 of the rainbow ones, just makes it fun. So yeah, that's cool, at least knowing that at least if you're pulling modern, you're more likely to get the 10s. And then the sort of rude awakening of vintage is what it is. You've seen sellers sort of pull back on talking about 10s as much because I think people have complained about this, but don't think you're going to pull a 10 from vintage. It is very, very rare, seems super unlikely. So thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions about my PSA returns or Pokemon cards, let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe. When I get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to start live streaming this stuff. Hopefully hire an editor to help me piece some of these things together. If you like my videos, you can check out my other videos about art. You don't have to, though. Some people will just watch the art videos. Some people will just watch the Pokemon videos. So that's fine. Thank you. Have a good one.